Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Devlog series for Circle of Orion, a turn-based JRPG that I am making in Unreal Engine. Sorry for missing out on last month, but that was because my own game, Liberty Belle, is now available on Steam. This is a bite-sized 3D platformer, superhero-themed. It takes you about an hour, hour and a half to go through, but it's available, now on Steam for $3, so be sure to go over and give it a look if you haven't already. On that note, after taking a bit of a break to celebrate releasing the game, I am now back to work and working on getting the demo for Circle of Orion ready for well before the end of this year, hopefully. To that note, I've gone ahead and upgraded to using Unreal 5.2 for multiple reasons, and after getting all the basic bugs going along with that fixed, I have more stuff to show off. The demo of the game will include the entirety of the prologue, which is some of the opening cutscenes as well as the first dungeon of the game. And that means a lot of long and repetitive work, but some of that work has been greatly eased by the switch to Unreal 5.2, primarily so that I can make use of its new PCG system, or Procedural Content Generation system. This, as it sounds, is just a new system in Unreal that allows you to generate procedural content, and in this context, mostly I use it for things like creating environments much faster, where it'll use the preset algorithms and things to populate objects in the environment much faster than you would have to do by hand. To kind of test it out, this is an example of what a starting level in Circle of Orion might look like. So just for an example of some of the blueprints or the PCG graphs I've already made, one of the first ones I made was this cliff blueprint, and this just allows me to use a spline to go ahead and drop a bunch of cliffs along it. And what's really cool is it doesn't just create them along the spline, but actually fills them in inside as well. So I can do that. Let's go to make this look good. Let's go ahead and add a shader onto the floor as well, and create a little bit of a pathway. Why don't we? Oops, not that way. And so here, this is a bug that sometimes appears in the PCG graph. All you need to do to fix this, it seems to only happen when you're in your own custom blueprint, so all you gotta do to fix it, hold on, that I know of is just recompile, and then it'll go away. And I'm already creating sort of a nice little, the starter for an environment. This is just because I created this in about 2 minutes, and it repeats these rock formations. In fact, let me go ahead and show you. So this is what the graph that creates these rocks looks like. It's incredibly simple. It's about as basic as you could possibly get. Just samples points along the spline, modifies those points randomly, and then spawns rocks upon it. Very simple stuff. But you can get a lot more complicated. You have all these different graphs with how you can spawn stuff and communicate with other stuff. And then next up, I have this forest graph, which I can just toss in here, but I just have to push down far enough. Let's expand it out. Oh, and I got all these trees just spawn in, but that's a few too many trees. Just drop them down to about, let's say, 1.2. And let's go down to ground level. Hey, look at that! I already have the makings of a new grassy environment dungeon. And this is what that forest graph looks like. It basically just works the same way. It grabs the surface, which is the surface of the box. Gives some randomization to the points. It also has this is a custom graph one I made, which is trace collision, which just does a trace collision check downwards to see where the first hittable surface is, and drops them there. Then I use a density filter, which is to just filter out some filter out trees by density, and then spawn the trees. It's again basically one of the most rudimentary things you can do. I did this. This is what took me 2 minutes to make, but this is the sort of thing that it greatly speeds up development time. And the two primary reasons I like this are, number one, it vastly reduces the amount of actors in your scene, which means your scene, or rather your levels, they load a lot faster, both in editor and potentially in gameplay as well, but primarily in editor, because before, the way it worked is every one of these, I may use some randomization to place these trees into the level, but they would all then be actual actors within the level. So that would greatly increase the processing time, especially when I wanted to open the level. But now, look at that, it's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 actors in this whole level handling all of this, and it would still remain 5 as I add a little bit some more, because maybe I wanted this randomization to also add some little bit of flowers or bushes or stones or whatever, and I wanted to keep the same randomization logic. It would all be in that one blueprint, which leads me to the other reason It's all in one blueprint, which means there's one point of error. If I need to change something or if there's a bug, I don't need to hunt down every instance in every level where something might have gone wrong, because it's all contained in one single file. And if I wanted to create exceptions for, say, different platforms or different levels of scalability or something, I can do it all in that single blueprint or single graph. And it's epic. And obviously this is largely stuff you can already do in blueprints, but PCG adds the randomization or procedural aspect to it. And yeah, this is, I think, going to end up being one of the best tools for creating lots of content very quickly for smaller developers. On top of all that, I have been adding some new features that I designed for Circle of Orion into my Omega game framework. And for those of you who don't know, because I know I'm getting a lot of new subscribers, Omega Game Framework, it's my own game framework that I created for Unreal Engine, specifically for the purposes of making single-player RPGs. But I have it freely available online for any of you to go out and use as well. It doesn't have all the exact same features as Circle of Orion does, but it has many of them. You can download it for free on GitHub, or you can go to the Epic Game Store and get admittedly a little bit older version of it, but one that will work right with the engine, and I'm working on getting that updated to the newest version. And one of the things that has been added to and improved on in the newer versions of Omega is the Gambit system, which is just a very, very basic rudimentary way of handling AI like enemy AI. Now, for those of you who might have heard the term Gambit system before, you can probably guess what the inspiration for this came from. But basically the way it works is you have a list of Gambit actions, and each of these Gambit actions has an if and then a then, or as they are also called in Omega, a condition and an action. And what it'll do is it'll run down this list until it finds the first accepted or valid condition, and then it'll run that condition's action. And again, this is available right now for you in Omega Game Framework. You can go download it from GitHub and get access to this. Another addition that I'm moving more into Omega is the zone system, something that I've talked about before, but essentially the zone system abstractly breaks a level up into several different zones that allow you to load them kind of separately and in between, and it creates this abstraction of an area being kind of much bigger and more interconnected than it necessarily is. Just as an example, this is the first village or town in the game, and the zones here, there are right now 3. You have the exterior area, you have this inn that you can come in and stay at, and there's also a work in progress tavern that you can go to and maybe get a little bit of a drink or something. All separated by these. And I have these actors here to trigger an exit point from one zone, or a zone transit, which can go to a level, and it can also give it a transit ID. And in addition, it also gives me these 2 data assets, which are the level data and the zone data, which just let me specify more information based on things like the specific level or zone. I've also made some improvements to the save system, one of the big ones being that now, whenever you save the game, it'll actually save a screenshot with it, and this, once more, is built into Omega. It's not a feature that I have specifically for my own game. And most of the rest of what I've been working on is just making improvements to systems and things that are already there, like adding controller support, fixing bugs, all just little things that are kind of hard to show off, but very necessary to make things work and feel good, which will be very important to the upcoming demo, which I will keep you guys posted about. Today's Devlog Shoutout goes to Eons Away. This is a 2D turn-based RPG with a creature collecting element to it, kind of like a mix of Child of Light and Pokemon. From hearing him talk about it, it sounds like it's got the sort of depth and customization I'd want from an RPG like this, but what primarily made the game stand out to me was the art style. It reminded me a lot of one of, say, Thomas Brush's games, or something like Over the Garden Wall. Very cool stuff. He's just started up his Devlog series and only has 204 subscribers, so if that looks interesting at all, be sure to go and check him out. And if you have a Devlog series of your own you want a shout out for, you can feel free to go over to my Discord and post a new thread for it there, because I'm always checking that, and that's where would be the easiest place for me to see it. And that's all I have for this time. Be sure to go and check out Liberty Belle on Steam if you haven't already. I really think you guys will enjoy it. It's just, if you're looking for something that's just short and fun, gives you a nice little break, a little classical adventure, not overcomplicated with lots of different mechanics, just a straightforward, simple platforming adventure. I really think you'll enjoy it. Be sure to go check it out. Of course, as always, thank you so much for watching. I'm always loving to know what your guys' suggestions are, what you think, if you have anything you think might be cool to see and might fit the tone and style of the game. Very grateful that you've stuck with me, and I will see you all, hopefully, not in a month, but we'll see.